Hi, my name is Peter Chao. I'm a president of the Austin Chinese American Network. ACAN is the fast-growing and very active Chinese American organization. We are largest Chinese American nonprofit organization in this city. We have close to 1,000 members. And our mission is to serve our community and foster our culture. And we are so honored to have our mayor, Mr. Mayor, here to tell his vision for this great city. And we also have our Vice President CJ Chao and our Secretary Jen Shaw here to talk to the mayor. And thank you so much.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning.
I'm Jing Shaw, and I've seen you in many places at Austin Chinese community events. And we appreciate your support for the Austin Chinese community.
Absolutely.
And now it's a big time for the Austinites. The city budget process is underway. We appreciate this opportunity to hear firsthand from our city leader. So as the mayor of one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, what do you think makes Austin special?
Well, I think there are a lot of things that make Austin special and magical. And you're right, Austin is fast growing. In fact, we're the fastest growing large metropolitan area in the country and have been for each of the last 7 years. I think that we're growing because of the people that live here. It is the culture that we have in this city. We are a very welcoming and friendly city. We're a progressive city. It's a very creative and entrepreneurial city. It's beautiful with the river that runs through town and the hill country to the west, and Barton Springs, a natural water spring swimming hole, municipal swimming hole. So it's a beautiful city. We have the University of Texas and the state capitol. But mostly, again, I think it's the culture that we have set up in this city. It is welcoming. We welcome people in this city. It's not a city that has had an institution of a history of very rich families that control things in a city. This is a city that is open. If you can prove that you can work hard and that you are smart, you can succeed in the city that we have. And it's an innovative city, so people are encouraged to take risks and to try new things. So it is a very forward-looking city. It's a magical city.
Do you think there's anything kind of specifically we can do more to attract international travelers, especially those from China, because most of them come to U.S. a lot, but they tend to hit the coastal cities?
You know, we have to do a much better job of encouraging the international travelers, especially those from China, coming to Austin. But it's beginning to happen because it is a priority. I've had the opportunity to go to China many times. In fact, personally, Diane and I have invested in China. But recently as mayor, I've also made the trip, and when I would be with groups of people in China and would talk about the United States, they would all know Washington, D.C. and New York and Los Angeles, and not so much Texas. And the ones that knew about Texas knew mostly about Houston because of a basketball player, I think, and the economies that happened. But more and more, Austin's story about being the center for innovation and new ideas is something that's being understood. And I think that a lot of the folks in China are seeing Austin as the early opportunity to get involved and be part of something which is going to be growing geometrically. We're trying to, and are in fact, enlarging our airport in significant ways, and working very hard to try to get some nonstop flights to Asia and to China if we can, because that we recognize is an important part of making sure that the visitors go back and forth in our city. We've pulled together a group in Austin, one of my very first economic development trips as mayor, was to go to China and to other Asian countries. So we're increasing those kinds of connections. We're having a lot more business interactions and working together to create joint incubators for new companies. Establishing our relationship with China and encouraging that interaction is a high priority.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mayor, you have been involved in a lot of policy issues over the years. Can you share with us some of the most rewarding experiences you have so far?
Boy, I tell you, being mayor is rewarding almost every day. It is such an incredible honor to serve as mayor, and certainly mayor of this city at this time. And one of the things I like most about local government as opposed to state government or federal government is that you can still get things done at the local level, at the city level. In fact, people that don't expect their federal government or their state government to do things have a very real expectation that the city will get things done. So my most rewarding experiences are when we're able to actually do that. We were able to focus on homelessness and veteran homelessness in the city. We've been able to pass a mobility bond, which has almost $750 million being put to our mobility challenge in the city. Some of our most trafficked roads in the city, taking the stoplights off shortly on 360, but also doing work on Anderson Mill and Palmer Lane. But some of the most busy streets we have in the interior of the city. But also in dealing with affordability issues in the city, moving millions of dollars to affordable housing programs and projects, creating for the very first time a regional workforce development plan so that we can move 30,000 people into new middle-skill jobs. What is most exciting about being mayor are when we're able to do things at scale that are actually helping large numbers of people. On a daily basis, the most fun and rewarding part about being mayor are the people that I get a chance to meet, the communities that I get to be in the middle of and be with. Because the access that a mayor has, the invitations that a mayor gets are numerous, and that is the most fun part of the job.
Yeah, I'm always amazed you show up pretty much at all the community events, like city budget talks. You must be, I mean, it's on weekday nights. You must be so tired, but you still show up, so thank you.
Well, this is the choice that Diane and I have made. And if we're going to do this job, you want to do it well. And doing it well, I think, means being in the community as much as possible. It's also the part of the job that I like the most, so it's an easy part of the job to do.
Thank you, Mayor. So I know the city leaders are working tirelessly on the city budget issues right now. So can you share with us what are your top priorities for now and also for the next few years if you are elected?
Well, I think the two biggest challenges we have in the city are mobility and affordability. Austin has a history of not planning well for the future. Almost hiding its eyes and pretending that the city's not going to grow, and by doing that, we don't plan for or manage the growth that is coming, and we see that most clearly with respect to mobility, where it's hard to move around this city. So that is, I think, one of our largest challenges. Affordability is a challenge because it's becoming more and more expensive for more and more people, and we're in danger of losing more and more people and communities to the affordability issue. So the city needs to really focus on those two issues. There are a lot of things that are going right in the city, our economy among them. So we have to make sure that we don't do anything that is interrupting the economy that we have because it's doing so well. But we do need to make sure that the benefits of that economy are being shared by everyone in our city and not just a few.
So Code Next is supposed to address both the traffic issue, mobility issue, as well as affordable housing. Is that right?
It is, and Code Next is not a product. It's a process. And one of the things that we recognize is that if we're going to do something about mobility and affordability in the city, we have to do 1,000 different things. And one of those 1,000 different things is to amend and bring up to date our city's land development code, which is 30 years old and was written back in the 1980s and doesn't really address today's challenges and tomorrow's challenges the way that it should. So among the 1,000 different things we need to do, we need to rework the land development code in the city. It's become an emotional issue in many neighborhoods and in many areas, and I understand that because for a lot of people their investment in their home is one of their largest investments. So everyone is concerned. Everyone is also concerned about increasing housing supply and doing something about affordability in the city. And my belief is that I believe in the people that live here, and I believe that if we stay with this, that ultimately we're going to be able to come up with a resolution that is something that works for most people in this city and that there's general agreement on. We have not found that point yet. I believe that we will because I believe in the people that live here. But we need to take a look at why it is that it's such a divisive issue right now so that we can figure out how to move past that.
So you mentioned a home. We Asian Americans consider Asian American Resource Center kind of our little home in Austin.
Yes.
And I know that there's a discussion going on about a phase 2, phase 3 build out. Can you talk a little bit more about it? I mean, the community is growing a lot and we really need our own home.
The community is growing a lot. You know, the Asian community generally is the fastest growing component of the city of Austin, and now it's the third largest demographic group in our city. And within the Asian community generally, the Chinese American group is the fastest growing component of a fast growing part of the community. But the Asian American Resource Center is a wonderful asset for the city of Austin. I'm not sure there's a city property that is more active and more utilized than that facility. And because of that facility now is very challenged. There aren't enough parking spaces for everyone that would like to come, and it's difficult to get from the remote parking spaces to the center. Right. And there's repair and expansions that need to happen in that facility so that it can help and be a resource center for an ever-growing community. So on the bond election that's going to be happening in November, I anticipate that $7 million of that bond package is going to be devoted to the Asian American Resource Center so that we can put a bridge across the little creek so that people can walk directly from one of the parking areas to the center without having to go up to the street and cut across. But also millions of dollars to help with the center itself. We also have to work together to come up with really definitive plans for what are the expansion phases for the center so that in the future we're able to fund those as well.
Yeah, so if you need help, we are more than happy to actively participate.
And I know that, and the participation that we're already getting, the city's already getting from the Asian American community is really valuable, and the Asian American Quality of Life Commission is doing a lot of work. So in so many ways, the Asian American community is getting more and more involved all the time, politically and socially in the larger community. And that is such a wonderful thing for the city generally, but also very important for the Asian American community.
So I'm glad you mentioned that you acknowledged our participation, but we think we can do a lot more. And given the fact you have a civil servant for so long, can you kind of, so to speak, give us a quick beginner's guide how to get to more active civic and even political engagement?
More involvement would be just great. And even with the increased involvement that's happened, I agree with you. There's still more that can happen. And there are a lot of ways that folks in the community can get involved. The city itself has 70, 80 boards and commissions. And every couple years, council members appoint members to those boards and commissions. It's important that this community be represented on those boards and commissions as they appear in the population. So people should go online and they should find out about those, and they should volunteer and apply and serve as some of you do, and thank you for that service.
Yeah, I just got appointed to Travis County Children Protect Service Board.
And that's great. That's the kind of involvement that the community needs, so that the community's voice shows up everywhere in what's happening in the city. Beyond that, there are opportunities for people in the community to work for the city, and we have programs where people in the community can go through a series of meetings and events and see what's happening in the city. But it's important that leadership roles in the city are filled with folks from the Asian American community. My chief of staff is a member of the community. But I have also talked to the new city manager, who will be filling a lot of roles and positions in the city, about the need for him to pay particular attention to making sure that there's high-level representation from the Asian American community. And then finally, there are a lot of nonprofit organizations that need membership and leadership. And there are campaigns like mine, but other campaigns as well, that are looking for volunteers and participants, and that's another way for people to get involved.
Okay, so that leads to my next question. Is as Peter mentioned earlier, ACAN is the largest Chinese American organization in Austin, and so how we can support you and other leaders in your daily job?
Well, ACAN is doing a wonderful job, and I've had the opportunity to attend multiple events. Fast-growing nonprofit in this city. I thought over 1,000 members participating. So it's an important organization. So people should join that organization because the voice of the community is frequently put forward by that organization. To be involved in the items that are coming before the council every other Thursday on the agenda, to be involved in the political debates that are happening in the city, to make sure that you know the leaders and you come and speak to the city council members, and to be involved politically. It makes a difference. When I ran for mayor 4 years ago, I ran as a virtual unknown. I was not someone who had held elective office before, and I was running against people that had served on the city council. And frankly, it was the initial and early support I got from the Asian American community that validated my involvement in the race and legitimized my candidacy. So it's important that the community pick candidates and pick efforts that it wants to endorse and support, because the community's voice is getting stronger and stronger all the time.
Thank you.
Can you go a little more explicit, like maybe we can talk offline, that can you connect us? I'm a vice president of ACAN in charge of our community outreach, and I still struggle. We form lots of alliance with local nonprofits, but I still struggle a little bit in terms of truly connecting to the large community of Austin, not just the Asian Americans. So if there's anything you can do, the city leadership can do to help us explicitly, that would be really appreciated.
No, and I would welcome that opportunity. Sometimes in a city like Austin that's growing so much, there are more and more people that we don't know. And in this city, I think because of our culture, there is a hunger in many parts of our community to really build bonds and ties to the parts of the community that we don't know. So I hear from organizations all the time that come to me and say, I wish that we had a stronger presence on our board from the Asian American community, and how do I get attached? So my sense is that your organization and the community want to get more involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are other parts of the community that want that involvement, and we just seem to be missing each other sometimes. And I would love to help facilitate that, because I know that the desire exists so much on both sides, and I think that's one of the roles and functions of this office of mayor. So I would very much like to meet with you. So maybe we could pull together a small group of people. I'll pull together a small group of people that are looking to be in that kind of room as well.
Sign me up for that.
Okay.
And we do believe, we are very confident we have a lot to offer. I mean, our mission is to serve the community. So, and honestly, most of us members are very well-educated professionals, so they not only have time to offer, they have skill set to offer to the community. So
Absolutely.
we would really appreciate the opportunity to connect with more.
And you have champions in the
Yeah.
community, like Victoria Lee, and people who have been involved in the leadership of the city. I know what you say to be true, and it is important, like I said earlier, not only for the Asian American community, but for Austin to truly be as great a city as it can be. It really needs to make sure that it's taking fullest advantage of all parts of its city.
Yeah, we're looking for that role we all can play in the community to make Austin a better city.
We're all joined in that together. That's great.
Thank you. So in 2019, we're going to have an Austin Culture event, and 2019 Austin Chinese Culture Festival. And this is going to be a big event for us, and we would love to have the mayor's support on that.
You have the mayor's support on that. Let me know what else I can do.
Okay,
Let me know in what form the support would be, so I can help my best.
Specifically, we have a few already. So first of all, is from city's perspective, what's kind of your vision or high level goals for a cultural event? We are literally anticipate thousands of people.
I think that the most wonderful thing that would happen in this city is if the very large cultural event had real significant representation from people who are not part of the Chinese community. Many times in this city, we have cultural events which are very important for the city. And as you might expect, the predominant people that attend the cultural events are the people that are celebrating their culture. But in Austin, which is a city that's grown so fast, we've actually gotten to the place where everybody's culture is our culture, because there are so many groups and peoples and languages and cultures in our city. So let me help work with you to make sure that we have a lot of people at the cultural event from different cultures, so that they can learn and meet people and can network.
So we should definitely follow up with in terms of marketing campaign.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that, to connect to more audience. And if you have a liaison in the city or team in particular we can work with, we would love to have that resources.
Absolutely. We'll have that within the city, which I think would be helpful. But also one of the tools and powers of this office as mayor is the ability to be able to convene. So I also have the ability to reach outside of the city as well to help with that mission.
So as a plug, we are also trying to outreach to other underrepresented or underprivileged population, like serving South Asian Army during Chinese Spring Festival. And we're actually planning another event for Mid-Autumn Festival, which is a big, important festival for Chinese population. But we're going to try to do a fundraising for potentially also South Asian Army. So
that's great.
So
that's great to hear.
Yeah, we have a lot of events going on in ACAN. We have planned hundreds of events in the past year, so it's definitely fast growing, and we are looking for more events in the future.
Well, I look forward to being involved.
By the way,
Thank
do
you.
you happen to know any other kind of city funding that for a cultural event like this? We already applied for the cultural art funding that we are actually received a very good review from the panelists.
I think that's good, and that's one of the primary places to go for
Okay.
cultural arts is cultural arts funding. An additional way to get funding for events and activities is to work through the Asian American Quality of Life
Oh,
Commission,
okay.
because they speak directly to the city manager who puts the budget together and makes proposals for funding. Those would be the two primary ways to move forward. And then I have the ability on a small scale to work with events and to waive some of the fees that the city has. We can talk about that too.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that wraps up our interview. We really appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you and hear your thoughts, and it also just showcases us as a community organization.
谢谢. Thank you very much for the opportunity.